Hi there. So, quite the angelic season we're entering, isn't it? I would call this crunch time for light workers for sure. I'm here to hold the space of calm and centeredness because I do believe there is one thing that we can all do right now that's going to help us make this transition go well. So I'm really excited because I think I've come up with the one thing that we can all do, and it doesn't even matter which side of the race that you're on, because this is a core value that all of us hold dear. And I'm super glad because I've been puzzling this through. You know, the media has us spinning about who's right and who's wrong and who's going to take us down the correct path and who's going to take us on the road to perdition. And frankly, I think that there are things that we as the planetary light force can do that will anchor a good result no matter what happens. I'm hoping that anyone who's watching this already knows that seeds are our true wealth, and each other and relationship is our true wealth, and that if you have something good, that when times are tough, it's going to be an important thing to share it. I guess I take it for granted that people should know on some intuitive level that nothing that this society runs on is particularly real. And in fact, it's a whole bunch of agreements that are based on the banking levels, that if everyone keeps doing their part, then we get to survive. But all that has to do is somebody manipulate or tweak one of the parts, and suddenly everything is open to question, and anything could collapse. I mean, I think that's part of why we have such a huge depression rate and anxiety rate, especially among young people right now, is that I think that everyone can feel nothing here is really real, and that it's all based on a bunch of fairly fraudulent understandings and a bunch of agreements. So hard, of course, is that it's the working people who take the brunt of this. Like, we just have to keep sucking it up and being a good sport and playing along. And well, the left and the right have both been taken on a hell of a ride. We are fed and conditioned and harnessed to keep producing in a system that gives very few benefits back. So I started looking fairly early on in life for what could we align ourselves with on the inner that would stand us in good stead. In this last news cycle of the past 4 years, I've noticed that so many of our beliefs and perceptions have been handed to us by whatever team we're aligned with. But that doesn't really help you on the day-to-day level. What's going to help you is to align yourself unshakably with the frequency known as truth. And you may ask yourself, well, who is this woman who's telling me to do these things? So, hi. My name is Adrienne, and I am in my 50s. And since I was a little girl, I've been visited by angels and galactics. And I've been informed ever since I was very, very little that I was here and that we are here on a very special mission. So for the last 16 years or so, since I ran for state assembly with the Green Party, I've watched how incredibly futile most activism can be, and how the climate in Washington and in the media keeps changing from left to right, but never quite gets off of the corporatist treadmill. So I started to recognize that both sides were playing the working class for fools. So that's what I came to talk with you guys about today, is that in order to, and this is something that Lightworkers kind of already know intuitively, but I don't know if we really spell it out all that often. And that is that in order to get through the day, you have to find something unshakable to hold on to. And I am so excited that I have really figured out that there is a frequency that cannot be jacked with and cannot be, it can be jammed, it can be interfered with, but there's a frequency called truth. And it is beyond the facts or the news or what team you're on. Well, I do believe that we need to hold a vision for the world that we want to see. I think it's very important to know what your values are and where you'd like to see this planet going. I think that's extremely important, and it's kind of a destination. It's a destination that I call the positive timeline, also known as organic ascension, also known as Gaia sovereignty, Gaia being the term for sovereign planet Earth as a conscious being living through all of us conscious beings who came here from our various star systems and homes to be part of this germination process of fertile Gaia Earth. And it's a wonderful process that has a lot to do with busting out of a seed shell. You know, the container that we're in culturally can be so confining and so tight, and it's threatening to get tighter, and it puts us in a tight spot. But when you align with your true nature and the true frequency known as truth, then you will find that you expand to your full true dimensions. And that is what busts open the matrix. So all of my friends are on the left, and yet a lot of what is coming to me as truth is coming from the right. And I'm watching, I'm always aligned with the underdog. That's kind of my sucker spot, is that whoever the media is not talking about, whatever the media is not covering, is where I go. And I've always been that way. And it's taken me to some very, very good places. And it's keeping me questioning everything. The media just, there was something about it, even when they're like, we're the voice of a generation, you know, and they would sell our revolutions back to us with Pepsi Cola or whatever, you know, and get all of our favorite musicians to like advertise for them or shill for them in some way. I knew that, how do I say? So my friends on the left and my friends on the right both want the same thing. They want a world that actually works for everyone all the time by design, not a world that works for the oligarchs. And even my friends on the right feel exactly the same way. In fact, the left and the right, paradoxically, have never been closer to sharing the same core values as they are right now in history. So I'm super glad that there is a frequency that you can align with, known as truth. And it's a truth that's beyond just facts, because you can throw this piece of weaponized information and that piece of distorted and spun information, and everyone's got, you know, both sides of the divide have got a spin. And we're the real estate capital that they're after. So play hard to get. You know, I know we're all playing team baseball here where we're like, I'm on team blue or I'm on team red. And we get very attached to our guy, you know, or our narrative. But if you can, this is where we play an extremely important role in guiding the planet. If you can come to the very center of your being, the part of you that when you sit and you breathe deeply, there's a part of you that wavers only gently. It's like a very natural oscillation. You know, the media is making you jack over here, and yank over there, and pull you back like this, and push you forward. And all that stuff is keeping us moving and not in our centers. Hey, yay, nice to see you, Jabari. Woo! Thanks for being here. All right, so the frequency known as truth, and I'm hoping you'll join me in this breathing. The frequency known as truth is the one in which when you breathe in, it goes right up your channel. And when you breathe out, and you're striving to stay in that one centered place. Because when we, with all the power that we have, adhere to one frequency, a frequency that doesn't sell anybody out, that doesn't make you run in circles, that doesn't make you stagger after the next missed opportunity or the next disaster, the more that we can hold a calm, still resonance of truth, the more that none of those rough winds will shake us. And we have a critical mass on the planet right now who all agree that truth and sharing and getting the money out of the hands of crazy corporations who are trying to harm us on so many levels. We agree on some very important core concepts. And so I'm super excited to reaffirm the rightness of your vision for the world. You may think that Team Blue is going to give it to you or that Team Red is going to give it to you, and I hope they do. But where the real power has always been is in the people, and not just in us when we're activated and organized, which is awesome, but it all begins on the quantum consciousness level. It's really quite amazing, but if you think about it, behind every movement was a thought and a set of ideas, and behind that thought and set of ideas was a sense of right and wrong. And right in the middle of our poles is where truth lives. So truth is a frequency of knowing, not just thinking, not just wishing, not just having an opinion, but a deep, as authentic and wordless as your breath. And when we hold that frequency, that's what makes us unshakable. And that's what makes the planet stronger. So you and I and all the people who want actual truth and all the people who want a better world for everyone, we are a mighty force. And it's kind of crazy because we don't have the same politics. We don't even have the same names or terms for God. So many words for what is still the one thing, and that is the frequency of truth. So as you take that breath in and you allow the world to come in through you and form and inform your truth, you can be safe in letting your mind go for just a moment, because this frequency of truth is something that doesn't require words. It's a frequency. And it just so happens that this warfare that we're experiencing for the sovereignty of the planet is something that can cut beyond the Tower of Babel that is all of our countries and all of our cultures and all of our languages, cutting down to something so essential and so unshakable, that frequency known only as truth. So I'm super excited because I know that something that the left and the right can both agree on is that, and we have to be willing to let go of our enemy images of each other, because truthfully, the left, the people on the left and the people on the right have never been more in accord on the heart level than we are right now. Everybody I know really wants the same thing in the big picture. We want a world that thrives, a world that works for everyone, an end to corruption in high places, a regaining of the essential reality of who we are, some very serious core values that can't be manipulated and can't be taken away. I am extremely proud of the personal growth that I have seen in all of my beloved brethren on both sides of the aisle. We are getting so strong. So what I'm here to remind you of today, and something for us to take into the next coming weeks, is that the one medicine practice that I feel you can really do is to align yourself with truth each and every day. Truth as it lives in the center of your heart, and really spend time there. We are in such an amazing time because the outer weather is so blustery, right? It's pulling us here and there and trying to get us to attach to this and that. And the most amazing part of it all is that in order to stay balanced at all, you have to come back to center and find out what it is that's really true for you. Without all of the branding, without all of the narratives and all of the agendas, just come right down to what's true for you. And I want to remind you that no matter who wins in this election, half the country is going to be pissed. And they're going to be so pissed that the chances of a civil war, an armed civil war, are going to be extremely high. And this is exactly what we don't want. And the reason that we don't want it is that the control government has far more arms than anybody else has. And if we lose control of our center and we go off into anger and we go off into destructiveness, that gives them the perfect excuse to take over and say, look, the citizens can't handle themselves. And so we've got to avoid that. So what I want you to remember is no matter who wins, half the country is going to be very happy and super relieved. So I want you guys to realize this, that if Trump wins, there's half the country who are not assholes and racists, by the way, that are going to be extremely relieved because they feel that democracy has got a chance. And I want my friends on the right to recognize that if Biden wins, that it is not automatically fascism either. We've got to be the change. we've got to hold in our hearts and in our frequencies like an antenna. I want us to become like an antenna for truth. If we all tune in to truth and let go of all the narratives just once in a while, just once or twice a day, or any time that something doesn't add up or make sense, just let go of the narrative, let go of your team for a moment, and realign with truth. The great part of this is that it will make your team stronger, and it will make you more sane and more able to respond. And what it does is it restores sovereignty to us.